You choked her because you were afraid. Because the way it was told to us was that you grabbed her and you forced her into your car.
For 5 agonizing decades, Carla's death remained unavenged until 2020, when cutting-edge DNA technology finally unveiled the monster Glen Samuel McCurley, a former truck driver.
46 years is a long time to just point the finger blankly at some little old man.
Each blood-soaked revelation forced the detectives to unearth one nauseating objection, dissecting the psyche of this killer and uncovering the secret behind his savagery. And with the testimony of an eyewitness, the chilling reality of Carla's agonizing brutality came from out of the shadows.
Didn't do anything like that. Not do anything like that.
It was an ordinary night on February 16, 1974, when Carla went out with her boyfriend, Rodney McCoy, to attend a Valentine's Day high school dance in Fort Worth, Texas. Little did the couple imagine that what was supposed to be a fun, memorable night would turn into one straight from hell. Shortly after the dance, Carla was with her boyfriend in his mother's Ford LTD, parked at the Brunswick Ridge Bowling Alley parking lot in the early hours of February 17, 1974. Just when Carla and Rodney were inside the car, an unknown man swung open the car door and started attacking Rodney repeatedly with the butt of his .22 caliber on the top and back of his head, leaving him unconscious. Following this, he abducted Carla and held her captive for about 2 days. 3 days later, on February 20th, 1974, Carla's dead body was found in a gutter with signs of physical violation, torture, and strangulation. Despite toxicology reports showing morphine in her bloodstream, the killer could not be traced for 46 years. However, in 2020, a breakthrough in DNA technology led the detectives to 77-year-old Glen Samuel McCurley. This is when he was brought in for questioning. What follows next is a confession that would bring an ultimate closure to this grisly murder.
Back in 1974, they had brought you in and they were talking about your gun. Tell us more about that.
Well, yeah, like I say, I was fishing it over there, just right off 80 under that overpass.
Mm-hmm.
We'd just gotten here, moved to Fort Worth,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of fishing places. When you're living in Midland, well, there's a lot of fishing places here.
Mr. McCurley, you seem like you're a nice man. You do. But I have to say, I still don't believe you. I don't believe a word coming out of your mouth. You know why? Because I know that you had something to do with this little girl dying. Okay? I know this. He knows it.
What
That's
did
why
I
we're
have
here.
to do?
You were the one that did it. You kidnapped her. You took her and you killed her. Okay?
No, I didn't.
You did. You did. Okay? You did. We're not here to discuss whether or not you did or you didn't, because you did. We know you did.
How do you know I did?
Because we have evidence that said you did. Okay? We wouldn't be here. It's been 46 years. 46 years is a long time to just point the finger blankly at some little old man. You're a grandfather. You're a father. What if this had happened to your granddaughter? Wouldn't you want something
I
to come out of it?
wouldn't have liked it.
You wouldn't have liked it? You just said when we talked to you how much she meant to you. Carla was 17 years old. 17. She had a family. She had a boyfriend that she was going to marry. And you took that away from her, okay? I need you to tell me something that I can believe. Because everything you're telling me right now,
Well, if I tell you
Thanks
you
to high
don't,
heaven.
well, you don't believe me.
I
We
will
just want
believe the
the
truth.
truth.
Okay? I will believe the truth. But right now, you're not giving me the truth.
I did not kill anybody.
Then what did you do? What did you do if you did not tell me?
I
Give me
did not
something.
kill.
Give me something that makes me believe you're not the monster that we think that this person who did this to Carla was.
How can I do that?
You tell me.
I don't know when she was killed, what hour, what day, or anything.
So you're still trying to tell me you don't know anything about this?
I don't know anything about her.
Okay. Again, I don't believe
I'm
you.
sorry, but
Okay.
I don't.
So when you go to jail, okay, you can't say that you didn't have an opportunity, because you did. This is your opportunity today to talk about what happened. Maybe things got out of control. Maybe you didn't intend for it to happen, okay? But it did happen. It happened. And it happened between her and you.
And you do know, Mr. McCurley, that this happened.
How do I know?
You've been carrying this for so many years. And you know it's been weighing on you.
Well, if y'all knew all that, why didn't you come get me back then or something?
Because they didn't know, but we do. Okay?
How do you know?
Because we have evidence.
What kind of evidence?
That's not something that we can talk about. But I promise you, we would not be here today if we didn't have something to back it up. We just don't willy-nilly people, okay? We just don't do that. You're 77. You have health issues. Your wife has health issues. We care about people. We care about you, believe it or not. We would not come to you with this if we were not positive, okay? We would not. Look at me and believe what I'm telling you. I know, he knows, we know you did this. You need to make things right, okay? You're sick. You are sick. How are you going to make things right before you pass away if you don't admit to the things that you've done, okay? It's life. Things happen, but we have to ask forgiveness.
You're saying I killed somebody, and I did not. I did not kill anybody.
Then what did you do?
What do you mean, what did I do? I don't know what I done. I didn't do anything.
You kidnapped her.
I didn't kidnap anybody.
You did. You kidnapped her.
But somebody saw me do this?
Yes, somebody did see you do this.
No.
You made a mistake. You left her boyfriend alive.
I did not kidnap anybody.
Her boyfriend is alive.
And he identified me as the guy.
He is a living witness, okay? You
No,
made a mistake.
I did not do anything like that.
You did. You did.
Mr. McCurley, this really is your time to be able to get this off your chest and to say
if it was on my chest, I didn't do anything like that.
The detectives opened the interrogation using the Reed technique, a calculated method designed to crumble a suspect's defense exploiting emotional cues. When the detectives asked Glen about the gun, crocodile tears squeezed from his guilty eyes. But this isn't Glen's true nature. On the godforsaken night of February 17, 1974, Glen became an unleashed demon, savage, drunk, and praying for violence. The moment he spotted Rodney's vehicle, his depraved mind fixated on one goal, finding a victim to brutalize and to kill. Authorities initially found only a magazine clip from the weapon matching the one Glen owned near Carla's purse at the bowling alley parking lot. However, this damning evidence couldn't be traced back to Glen, as his lies remained undetected by a polygraph in 1974. However, decades later, when the investigators discovered this weapon, launching a DNA analysis exposed Glen's monstrosity, causing the reemergence of a new case. But Glen is too cunning to break his silence this early. So, in the coming moments, the investigators are about to implement an accusatory approach to make Glen crack.
Did you kidnap her?
No, I didn't kidnap her. Whoever said they saw me do that is wrong, because I've been with my wife all the time. Back all those days, we've never separated.
Yeah.
We've never separated and been away from each other, because she's got a bad heart, and I've got a bad heart.
Your wife was out of town then visiting her dad because he had surgery. He had heart surgery. She was gone during that time period. She was not there.
Her dad?
Mm-hmm.
I was with him.
No,
you were
she
here.
went without you. She just said last week she went to go see her daddy because he had had heart surgery. You were not there. She went. She was out of town.
Where was she out of town at?
In Midland.
With your two boys.
No, that never happened.
That's what she
She
said.
wouldn't go to. She doesn't. I don't even let her drive.
This was 46 years ago.
I know.
Mr. McCurley.
And she's still the same way. She doesn't have the reflex of driving.
Well, she said she was gone. She said she was out of town just last week when we talked to you. You were right there next to her when she said it.
She went out of town to Waco to school down there, and I drove her down there and came back with her every time.
She said her dad had a heart surgery.
He had heart surgery here in Midland. I mean in Fort Worth.
Well, she said
In
she was out of town.
1974, he was in the hospital in Midland.
I don't know for positively sure, but if I had known that, I would have been there.
So you were working.
You had to work.
You had work.
Well, if I was working, I was probably on the road driving.
Not when this happened, you weren't.
Well, where was I?
You were off. You worked that day, but you were off that night. When this happened, you were off.
I don't know where you're getting your information. Because I didn't...
That came off your schedule from 1974.
Your work
Directly
schedule.
right off your work schedule.
What work schedule is that?
From Back Creek.
Speed Fab Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm driving, daytime driving and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You got off work at 4:30 that Friday afternoon.
I don't know about that.
Or that Saturday, I'm sorry.
Saturday? We didn't work very many Saturdays. No. I didn't do that to that girl.
Didn't do what?
Whatever it was done to her. Because I don't know her. I've never seen her, never talked to her.
Prior to that night?
What do you mean?
When you're saying you've never talked to her, are you meaning prior to that night?
I've never been this close to her if she was right there. I don't know her.
Did you ever hear about what happened to her back then?
I heard some stuff on the news and stuff, but that's...
What did you hear?
I don't know. I don't remember. Some little girl got killed or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't... I didn't have time to pay attention to those things then. 'Cause I was working. It's not my deal.
This time, the detectives point out a major detail that's strong enough to break Glen's string of lies, and that detail is his wife's absence at the time he committed the murder. This means that Glen's alibi is completely false. Furthermore, like a true liar, Glen skipped over the part of getting off work early that night of Carla's murder. Although it's possible to forget this detail, as it's quite old, Glen's continuous denial makes it seem like a deliberate avoidance. This is when the detectives escalate the interrogation by using their next trump card, the DNA evidence.
So let me ask you this, okay? Let's just say this was your 20-year-old granddaughter, okay? Do you think it would be important if there was DNA found on her body from somebody and something like this happened to her?
I don't know. I don't know.
Would it be important to you to find out who did it if there was DNA on her body?
I don't know what DNA is.
Okay, DNA is basically just what you leave from your body. Like, if I were to touch him, I'm leaving my DNA on his pants. So it's what I leave on somebody else.
Everybody has their own individual DNA. And everybody's is different. And if somebody had killed your granddaughter and left theirs on her, would it be important to you to find out who did that?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay, so do you understand what DNA is then? It basically is just leaving a piece of yourself on somebody else. So if we could identify who that person is through their DNA, do you think that that would be important to do?
Yeah, but I don't... Mine, how can mine get there? I did not do anything to this girl.
So,
What we're saying, Mr. McCurley, is that your DNA was found on Carla Walker. Okay? So there's no question about it. None. So now we just need to know why. You know? We don't want to believe that you're a horrible person. You know, was it just a bad night? I mean, your wife was out of town, you know, were you drinking and you just driving around? And did you just see something that was an opportunity and you thought, oh crap, what did I just do?
I can't explain.
Well, there's an explanation, Mr. McCurley, and that's all we're asking you. Just tell us how that could have happened. You know how it happened, we just need you to tell us.
So I convict myself, I guess, huh?
Well, you're not convicting yourself. You're just helping us understand why this happened. We already know that it happened.
Well, yeah, I suppose it did. But I didn't do it. I don't know how
Do
many.
do you understand the fact that your DNA was on her body?
No, I don't have any idea about it.
Your DNA was on her body, which means you had to be there and you had to participate in this. There's no question about that. It is evidence that does not lie. I'm sure you or your wife watch those true crime shows and you've heard all about DNA and it being all over the place. Well, it's true. It's a real thing. And what led us to you was DNA. Okay? They didn't have DNA back then. They have DNA now. You had asked earlier why they didn't come get you then. They didn't come get you then because they didn't know who you were. We used your DNA to find out who you were. So there's no question here. Okay? There's no question. We know you did this to her. Okay? We just need to know why. When it comes to time for this to go in front of a jury, they need to know that this was a mistake and this wasn't something that you are. This is not the person who you mean to be. I've seen you. You've got a family. You've got grandkids. You love your wife and you take care of her. Okay? That's not the person you are. But you need to tell us that. You need to be able to explain what happened so that everybody else knows that too. Because not everybody's going to see that glimpse of your life as Mr. Glen Samuel McCurley, loving husband, loving father, loving grandfather. They're not going to see that. They're only going to see what you tell them. But you got to be able to tell them. You got to be able to tell us. You can't just leave it as is. Because as is, it looks like you did a terrible thing to a young lady and nobody knows why. Everybody has questions about the why. Only you can answer the why.
This is about your credibility, Mr. McCurley. And just as Detective Wagner mentioned, it's the why. We just need to know why. And we know that you want to get this off your chest. You do want to talk about this. It's been too long. It's been too many years. Her family deserves answers. Let her family have the peace you would want.
Then I go to the electric chair.
You're not going to go to the electric chair.
And get hung or whatever.
No. You're 77 years old. They're not going to do that to you.
No.
Yeah, that's what y'all say now.
They're not going to do that to you. I promise you, they will not do that to you.
Glen makes one remarkable slip-up. He doesn't want to convict himself. This reveals one sickening truth. The decades haven't dimmed the memories. They are still fresh and vivid in his mind. According to the investigative reports, Glen didn't stop after leaving Rodney unconscious. He tried to murder Rodney in cold blood, pulling the trigger repeatedly, but the pistol misfired. The forensic experts found a DNA profile on Carla's undergarments and matched the same to Glen. The match was made on July 7th, 2020, with the help of a technology called Forensic Grade Genomic Sequencing, or FGGS. Now, after a theatrical session of fake fears, Glen gives in, and he decides to speak.
I did do it, I guess.
Can you tell us what happened?
One thing I can say is I'd been out drinking quite a bit.
Okay.
I had problems. I don't remember what there was now, but bowling ball place.
Were you inside or outside?
I was outside. I'd parked in the parking lot.
It's just people watching.
I don't know if it was or not. I heard a girl screaming in the car over a couple of cars away from me. And I went over there to see if I could help.
What'd you see?
There was this big guy to help her out. I got her and put her in my car.
When you went to help her out, what did you see was going on inside the car?
So you got her and you put her in your car?
I put her in my car and got her calmed down. We talked about some things, I don't know. I asked her why he was beating her up or whatever he was doing. And she started hugging me, thanking me. And I was pretty drunk at the time, I told her I was going to take her home, and she said she didn't want to go home right that minute. We'd driven somewhere, I don't know, parked on the lot somewhere And I let her out of the car. I don't want to do too much from there on.
Need you to tell us why you felt like you had to kill her.
Were you afraid she was going to go to your wife?
I guess.
Where was she when you killed her? Back in the car?
I guess. I don't know.
Were you using any sort of drugs in addition to the alcohol? Just the alcohol? So you and him were wrestling too at the door?
Yeah, on her door.
Did he ever
trying to push him off of her?
Did he ever get out of the car?
I don't think so. I was trying to help her. I didn't help her.
Did you see either one of them hit each other? Her hit him or him hit her?
He was, I think. He was jumping. I couldn't see real good, but I could see through the window.
Mm-hmm.
And she was screaming.
Do you remember what she was screaming?
So when you let her out of the car for a little while, did she come back inside your car?
No, I left her. It was, I don't know where she lived or anything, but where we were, it was a...
So did you strangle her in the car or outside of the car?
You've done great so far. I know you got diabetes. You want me to get you a snack or something?
I feel all right.
What's that?
I can't hear too well. What'd you say?
I feel okay right now.
You sure? I can get you some cookies or chips or something. Might make you feel a little better.
Carla's autopsy showed inhumane injuries all over her body. She had visible signs of physical violation and torture. On top of that, there were glaring indicators of ligature strangulations on her neck. So Glen's story of being a good Samaritan is absolutely bogus. This isn't even the worst of his actions. Forensic reports showed that Carla was kept alive for 2 days before Glen finally decided to take her life. Othram Inclination used forensic genetic genealogy to sequence the DNA and cross-reference it against genetic genealogy databases. This helped the police to identify Glen's relatives before finally finding a match using Glen's used straw they collected from his trash. Now that the investigators got the ball of confession rolling, Glen will shed light on some of the gruesome events leading up to this murder.
So now we need to really know about how you got her out of that car, okay? Because the little girl was a virgin, and if she was fighting with her boyfriend about having sex, people are going to have a really hard time believing that she was going to willingly have sex with you, okay? So you've come this far. Nothing can be worse than what you've already told us. You told us the hardest part. You need to tell us about what really happened between you and her, okay?
There was no forcing.
You forced her.
She wasn't going to be fighting with her boyfriend about not having sex with him and then go willingly have sex with a stranger.
It just doesn't make sense.
You need to be credible, and this is your opportunity to be credible and tell the truth, because people that are making decisions aren't going to believe that she just willingly did that.
You already told us you were drinking, okay? And I'm sure that that's the reason that this happened, is because you were drinking, okay? Matter of fact, where were you drinking that night?
In the car.
So you just carrying a bottle around, drinking, driving around? Okay. And you said you're drinking whiskey?
Yeah.
What else? Just whiskey?
Beer.
Beer and whiskey? How long had you been drinking?
Several hours.
Okay. So you probably weren't in the best state. You probably drunk. Probably, you said you had some problems going on. So your mind wasn't all there. Okay? So what happens when you see the little girl and her boyfriend in the car?
Oh, I thought she was being beat up on.
Okay, so even if you thought she was being beat up, people are going to have a hard time believing that she actually had sex with you. Because willingly. She had a stellar reputation. She was Little Miss All-American. You know, she was a virgin. She's just not going to have sex with some stranger when she's been with her little boyfriend for a couple of years. You need to tell us the complete truth, just not parts of it, okay?
You've done the hardest part.
If you forced her to have sex, that's just one small piece, okay? It's nothing compared to the fact of how it ends up. You've already come this far. You might as well just go the whole boat so that they know.
Well, I didn't think I beat her up.
No, you didn't have to beat her up. Well, you already said that you probably choked her at the end, right? But we need to know that you forced her to have sex, okay? Because there was definitely evidence of...
I guess I did,
You see how...
I guess you did, or...
Huh?
You did, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess I did, but I don't remember any bad part of it until I got scared about it.
Right.
What made you scared?
I was afraid that she'd tell on me or something.
Okay. So let's go backwards, okay? Start at the beginning of that day. You were at work that day, right? So at some point you find yourself at the bowling alley, right?
Parked in a lot there.
Okay. You parked in a lot. You hear her, okay? You hear her screaming, you just don't know what it is. So you go over there to check on her. Then what happens?
I opened the door on her side and had a tussle with him, trying to get him off of her. I was pushing him.
You say tussle. What all do you mean by tussle? What exactly happened?
Just pushing him off because he was...
Did you ever hit him, or did he ever hit you?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Did she say anything to him?
No, I don't think so.
Because the way it was told to us was that you grabbed her and you forced her into your car.
I was holding her arm to get her away from him.
Okay.
And he was cussing and yelling and stuff like that.
After losing consciousness, Rodney came back to his senses at around 1 a.m., but he couldn't see the kidnapper's face clearly when the abduction happened. The assailant was merciless and swift, tearing the car door open with brute strength, beating Rodney with the pistol butt in rapid succession and pointing the barrel inches from his face before snatching Carla away. With his eyes drowning in his own blood from brain injuries, Rodney became disoriented and failed to identify the blurred silhouette disappearing into the void. That's when he drove off to Carla's home less than a mile away, despite bleeding profusely from blunt force trauma. Her parents were awake, having a good time playing dominoes with their relatives, until Rodney's frantic knock on the door shattered that peace in an instant. Carla's father heard something that no parent ever deserves to hear. His daughter was taken by a monster, and something bad might happen to her. The family dialed 911 instantly, setting off an immediate overnight investigation. At this point, the innocent girl was not just getting physically violated and tortured, but was also getting drugged with morphine. At this point, Glen understands that his sob stories don't hold much value in the detective's eyes, so the next moments are about to show what led Glen to strangle Carla.
I think he got in the car and drove off before I got out of the parking lot, and I drove around for 10 or 15 minutes and then parked at another parking lot and was talking to her.
And then did she want you to take her home?
Well, she didn't say that.
Okay. So then,
I mean, she might have been, but she...
Just tell us this part, Mr. McCurley. What happened? Just be completely honest with us.
Well, she just was thankful that I got her away from him.
Okay.
That's what she said.
Okay. And then what?
I don't know.
Did you mistake her gratitude for her wanting to have sex, and you took it a little too far and maybe forced yourself? Well, like I said,
I had good intentions, but...
You had good intentions to start, but maybe those good intentions kind of went away because you're a man, you'd been drinking, here's a pretty little girl, and you just couldn't help yourself. And does that sound about right?
I
Did you get carried away?
I got scared. She saw me and everything like that. She'd tell on me.
Because you'd gotten a little rougher with her than...
Well, I didn't get rough with her, I don't think. Besides choking her, I guess.
As far as this goes, you did force yourself on her as far as having... And I would think the alcohol probably contributed to that. And you're not... I'm looking at you, you're not a monster. We've seen monsters. And you don't seem like a bad person to us. But things happen, and I would think with the drinking, when it came to having sex with her, that got out of hand. So you were afraid that she was going to tell because she wasn't wanting to have sex, right?
Well, she didn't read, just, I don't think.
I don't think anybody's going to believe the fact that she was willing to have sex with a stranger when she wasn't willing to have sex with her boyfriend. You can understand that, right? Does that sound reasonable to you?
Much what's going on in here.
So, okay, so after it's all said and done, you said you took her somewhere. You don't remember where you took her?
I let her out somewhere.
Okay.
I want to say it was down there by the end of that street that turns into, I think she did. I was getting her out of the car.
You'd already choked her at this point?
I tried.
So you choked her in the car, not at the place that you left her?
No.
You're doing really good, Mr. McCurley. Just need to continue being just completely honest with us. You've gotten the hardest part out of it.
I got her out of the car, and she was still breathing. I didn't...
How do you know?
Well, she was standing up by herself against the car.
So did you choke her again?
No.
Well, at what point did you kill her?
I don't know if I did.
Well, we know you did. That's already been established.
That I did kill her?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know.
So you choked her in the car, and is that where you choked her as well, in the car? And then you dropped her off at the other place?
I don't know. I can't remember all that.
We just need you to tell us what happened. You don't want to just give us half the story.
You've come this far already. The hard part's over. We're just looking for details to
And this is about
make sure you're 100% honest.
And making you credible. Because right now, you've not given us the whole story, Mr. McCurley. You've given us a part of it. And you've gotten past the hardest part. You've done a really good job. We need the whole story. We need the story that people are going to understand and relate to and believe.
Well,
If she wasn't willing with her boyfriend, it's not believable that she would be willing to have sex with a complete stranger. I think you can understand that.
Well, I think she was crying when I was doing all that. I mean,
And why was she
getting her away from him.
No matter how hard Glen tries to beat around the bush, he is definitely giving up enough statements to prove his guilt. And after giving into the detective's pressure, Glen will admit his guilt.
And because you felt like you needed to kill her to keep her quiet.
I was just having sex with her. I didn't beat her up except for choking her afterwards.
Yes, but having sex with somebody doesn't necessarily mean the same, okay? You might have been having sex with her, but was she willing to have sex with you?
I don't remember any different than that.
I don't think any... See, you've already told us you've done really well in telling us the hard part about what's happened. But we need the whole story. Don't take away the good that you've done when you said you went over there intentionally at first to try and help her. But it's not believable that...
Did you choke her while you're having sex? Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes people choke people when they're having sex because that's part of what makes it exciting. There's actually a thing called autoerotica where they actually do that. Did you choke her while you were having sex with her?
I think so. I think it was afterwards.
Okay, so you choked her afterwards, which means you choked her because you were afraid. You're afraid of what had happened beforehand. And what had happened beforehand was that you forced her. Okay, you were having sex because she's a pretty young girl.
Force. I mean,
Meaning she didn't want to. Okay, there's evidence that she was forced. She did not want to have sex, even if you did. That's why we're calling it, because she didn't want to have sex.
She didn't want to have sex Her boyfriend, logic tells you that she most definitely didn't want to have sex with a stranger. What was the reason you selected the spot that you did to place her body?
It was against the building down there. I think that's where I left her. I took advantage of her, I guess, later on.
Now that makes sense.
That's what we're
now you're getting us over the hump of the hard part here.
I choked her to death, I guess, and then but I didn't beat her up and all that kind of crap.
Don't think you're a monster. We don't think that you beat her up. That's not what we're indicating at all. But you did just clarify for us what you did, and that makes sense. You took advantage of her. It was.
And then you got scared, and so you choked her. Is that about right?
I don't know what else you'd want. I would put myself out on it.
How's that?
Oh, I'm guilty. And
guilty of what?
I guess, well, that little girl.
You mean guilty of her and killing her?
I guess. Well, she seemed calm to me. I mean, I didn't have to fight her to do anything. She kissed me on the cheek, and I kissed her back. It's because she was thankful.
That was prior to you all having sex.
Well, yeah, getting her away from that guy. Cause she said he was mean to her, and
then you took advantage of her, like you said.
Yeah, and then I turned bad.
You didn't mean to do it. So what?
I didn't go out to do it. Anything.
How did you feel afterwards?
Scared to death.
You were scared to death? Were you scared when the police came to talk to you?
Every time.
Every time? What was going through your head? Okay, well, there's something else that's not quite matching up either.
According to Rodney, Carla was never thankful to her abductor and her soon-to-be murderer, Glen. Instead, her last words were, "Rodney, go, get my dad," as the attacker violently dragged her away through the bowling alley parking lot. Furthermore, there's no evidence that Rodney ever had any disagreement with Carla that night. They were just having a typical romantic time, like most teenage couples. Moreover, there's no proof of Carla asking a random attacker like Glen for any kind of help. This means that Glen's stories are nothing but a weak attempt to escape justice. So to seal Glen's fate, the detectives are about to drop another bombshell, Rodney's possible recount to the jury.
I wasn't bloody or anything, nobody that I know of.
He got hit hard enough to bleed like a stuck pig. He was bleeding all over the place. So did you punch him hard enough that he's bleeding all over the place? Because what he got injured by was not a fist.
Unless he got hit by the car when I was pushing him or something, I don't know.
No, he got hit by a gun. He got pistol whipped by a gun. Okay? He is going to tell the jury that. He's going to stand by, show pictures of his injuries, and point the finger at you and say, that man did this to me and then kidnapped my girlfriend. Okay? If he's going to do that, you need to be completely honest about what you did, because again, showing that you're willing to atone for all of that and own it is what the jury is going to see as being merciful. If they don't believe you because you keep holding back bits and pieces of stuff, then they're less likely to believe what you have to say all the way across the board. So you can't just give up pieces. You got to give up the whole deal. Okay? It's too late to go back now. You've already done all the big stuff, all the hard stuff. These are just little details. But we need to know all these details for the whole picture. We know you had the gun. We know you had the gun that night. That's what led them to you in the first place. Did you get rid of it?
No.
You still have it? Where's it being kept?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you have it in your house?
Yeah.
Is it in your bedroom?
No. It's in a little room.
So up in the attic?
No, not in the attic. Well, you could call it that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else with the gun that you kept from that night?
Sorry.
You don't have to be sorry.
You don't have to be sorry, Mr. McCurley. You know what? You're sitting here and you're telling us the truth. You're telling us what happened.
We're making progress.
You've had what?
I've had bad years.
Oh, I can only imagine.
They had worse.
What's that?
They had worse.
Yes.
I didn't mean it to just happened.
You know what? They're going to have some resolution and some peace now.
I wish it had been me instead.
I mean, that was, what, 31-year-old you?
I don't know how old I was.
It's a long time ago.
A different person back then than the person today.
During the days that gone by and stuff like that.
Can't imagine the weight that you felt for the last 46 years.
Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know.
Glen's crime and brutality against both Carla and Rodney are absolutely gut-wrenching. This makes one aspect undeniably true. The justice system would brutally punish Glen for the atrocities he committed decades ago. Glen submitted a written guilty plea to capital murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on August 24, 2021 in Tarrant County, Texas.